Hi, in this video, I'm going to tell you about a thread that I found completely by accident. Let's not stretch the beginning, grab a food, turn off the lights, and we begin. Our story starts on July 26, 2015. On that day on 2chan on the board B thread was created, and that's what today's video will be about. Sup 2chan. We live with my wife in a country house in the Krasnodar region. In short, we have a basement, which we decided to make another room full. In general, to make repairs. The floor in the basement was lined with large boards. I started pulling those boards out, and underneath the boards was old tile. And you should know, Anon, how surprised I was to see what is shown on the pic random. In the corner of the basement, under the boards, there is a hole that looks like an entrance to the basement. My wife and I were immediately shocked and started looking around, yelling down there, looking in, and so on. You can't see anything further than one of the hillocks, but apparently it's deep there, because I threw a half-empty water bottle down there, and the sounds from its blows gradually subsided. There's still a fucking rumble coming from there like a horror movie. How am I supposed to sleep at home with this fucking thing? What do I do with it? I don't think I'm gonna go in there. What could it be? A picture of the hole in question in the post was attached to the trad. You may be confused by the word pic random, but it's probably a typo. But that very word confused a lot of Anons, and they started demanding for confirmation. An hour later, the creator of the thread posted this sup picture. After another couple hours, the thread was removed from the B section, but one Anon managed to roll it into the paranormal section, but the thread was quickly closed as the op of the original thread from B never showed up. That could have been the end of the story, leaving many questions behind, but as you can imagine, it wasn't the end. A day later, on July 27th, a new thread dedicated to this hole appears in the same B section. After I removed the top layer of the basement floor yesterday, there is a constant rumble from this hole with an intimidating sound. At night, my wife asked me to close this hatch with a lock and a rag over the top, so I did. The rumble has abated a bit. Tonight, free after work, I went in there again. As long as it was light outside, it wasn't as scary. I took my phone, tied a tomato garter rope around it, turned on my camera with flash, and started to climb down. The rope stopped pulling, I measured and pulled out my phone. The fucking hole was 7 meters deep, and the descent down there was bumpy because the rope was tightened and loosened almost the whole time of the descent. In the video, alas 95% of the time, the phone it's just riding up against the wall, so everything is either just black or just white. I was only able to identify 2 key frames, pics from there. The first frame, 15 seconds of release. The last frame, with a span of obscurity, 32 seconds of video, just before the rope reached. This is the most distinct footage. I also made a call to the previous owner of the house. When asked about the hole in the basement, his response was unequivocal. I don't know. When I asked him why there was a lock on the hatch to the regular food cellar, he said something like, "It was my grandmother's house. She and my grandfather built it. They always had the hatch closed and nobody kept any pickles in there." That's all he knows. I talked to one of my friends, showed him the video. He said he wouldn't go in there, advised me to just fill in the hole with concrete. You may not have noticed anything when you look at this picture, but look at this. It's a bottle. The occupant of the mystery house threw a bottle exactly like this into the hole. Now, why do you think it's standing there? Exactly. Someone or something put the bottle in because the chance of it falling so perfectly is extremely slim. All the more reason not to forget the irregularities around the edges of the pit. And on that ominous note, the story ends. What do we have here? A horror story of a house in the Krasnodar region and a hole found in the basement that became the home of the unknowable fuck. And I think it's good that the story ends that way. I mean, there are examples on 2chan where initially good and creepy threads end up with demons and author schizo. And here there is a competent cutting of the story at a creepy moment, as in those stories in a couple of sentences. I think you know what I'm talking about. Those were good and creepy threads, but they're not the only ones on 2chan. In the comments, feel free to suggest a thread to make the next video about. That's all for today. Don't forget the likes. Bye.